Hey, this is Juliana, and it is week 2, and we read a lot this week, and I learned a lot this week. This was a really helpful few chapters for me, especially because I am in the process of directing my fall play and our one act competition, but also because I'm in the process of casting for our spring play, which is going to be the Addams Family. So it's going to be a huge beast of a production. And so everything that we read this week was super, super helpful. First thing I want to talk about is probably the rehearsal schedule. Now, I can't use that little bit of like 5 weeks of time to rehearse my cast because I share so many band and choir kids, even sports kids. And so I can only do like Monday through Thursdays for a couple of hours. They're also like they're really go-getters. I have really good kids this year. And so a lot of them have jobs. So weekends are also out of the question. So even though we rehearse for more than 5 weeks, I mean, we've already started, our fall play is November, as is our one act competition. And we've already been rehearsing for the last couple weeks, right after school started. But I still really like that rehearsal schedule, the way that it's listed out, because I can definitely use that as I'm curating my schedule and be like, okay, am I on like the right page here? Are we behind, etc. So I really appreciated having that. The next thing was the audition process. It was really like nice, like validating to see that I do the audition process very close to like how they described the open public one. But it was really neat to see the other sort of auditions, which I've heard of, but I've never really thought about them before. And I was like, oh, that actually for smaller plays might be easier, having like closed auditions. I personally prefer that students, especially if they can't get up and sing in front of everyone, it's hard for me to be like, well, how do I know that you're going to get up and sing in front of 300 people? Even though usually they can, after they get some rehearsal process. But for, whenever I direct adults, that might be an easier process and a quicker process to have closed auditions and just kind of, run them through real quick. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to read. And then my final takeaway, there were so many takeaways, but like the final thing to talk about in this short video was casting, because as I said in my written reflections, I'm in the middle of casting Morticia for the Addams Family. And if you've ever done the Addams Family before, she just has to be a certain way. And it's between two senior girls. And again, as I said earlier this week, I do not agree with seniority in casting. It doesn't matter if you're a senior. If you're a freshman or an 8th grader and you do the role, you audition for the role the best, and I know I can work with you, then you're getting the role. In this case, I don't have to worry about that because they're both seniors. And they're both really, really good for the part. And I don't agree with double casting. I've done that before. As somebody else mentioned, they did that once before, and both of their like Hermias were getting compared. And I agree. I've done that twice before. And all that really happens is the kids get compared to each other, which is so bad for them. Because they're supposed to be getting the exact same direction, but also it just was exhausting for all of us. And, I wanted to give those double cast kids like the same opportunities, and it just ended up for everyone. It just was not the most positive experience. It turned out well, but it was not the most positive experience. So I'm not a fan of double casting, and I personally won't do it. So the casting portion did help me a little bit. I really liked how, it kind of came from an educational perspective. Like if you're casting from an educational perspective, you can kind of decide that way. So that's helping me a little bit. When I get to, maybe a community theater production or a college production, it might not help me as well. But I really feel like this chapter on casting is going to help me finally be able to make that final decision. So anyway, lots of really great stuff on this one. Thank you.